And good morning, listeners, on a pretty doggone good-looking Wednesday morning here at Oldie 640 KTIB. What's the date? Let's see, April 22nd. Present temperature, nice out there this morning. Present temperature 62 degrees, winds from the southwest at 5 miles an hour. Humidity 91%. Barometric pressure 30.07 inches of mercury and steady, dew point 59 degrees. Visibility 5 miles this morning. Sunrise was at 6:29 a.m. Sunset this afternoon will be at 7. Coffee, be ready, guys. Boy, I tell you, I got Nicholls State University economics, and they love coffee. So before we do anything, they're going to get a cup of coffee. Sunrise at 6:29 a.m. this morning. Sunset at 7:35 p.m. this afternoon. Forecast calls for plenty of sunshine with a high near 85 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 62 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. And that's your weather forecast for today here at Oldie 640 KTIB. 108 Green Street, historic downtown Thibodaux, Louisiana. Birthdays and anniversaries, 447-6409 is the number into the dialogue room. 447-6409. As always, we ask that you keep in your thoughts and in your prayers. Truly America's finest young men and women who are in harm's way, particularly those in the Persian Gulf area, be it Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever they are. We ask that you keep them close to you and definitely keep them in your prayers. Some of the ones locally we want to pray for: Brady DeLotte, who is in Iraq; Matthew Barrett, who is in Denver; Michael Lebo, who is in Fallujah; Aaron By, Army guys, Aaron By, Gary Ellis, Jared Jerwa, Richard Leach, Brandon White, Margaret Marcello, John Dupair, and Stefan Lered, all of the United States Army. Gerard Arsenault in Kurdistan on his way back. I think he's going to be stationed in Spokane, Washington. I think he's coming back next week. I'll find out for sure, but we're going to keep him on a prayer list. And Robin Hassenfuss, who is in Afghanistan. So we ask that you keep all of these fine young men and women in your thoughts and in your prayers. All my commuter guys, Hugh, Philip, Randy, Nancy, Laura, Johnny Jam, Dennis, Coach Dennis Lorio. Got to get Coach Lorio on, too. Been putting it off, but I'm going to have to give him a call. Dan Knockhand, Cotty Campbell, all the guys and gals from Thibodaux that are commuting, not just the ones I've named, but, all of you say about a 15-second prayer for each other. Everybody gets to work safe this morning and gets home safe this afternoon. Skies are clear, roads are clear, just drive defensively. Big bedroom community, lots of people on the road, so want to make sure that everybody gets there safe and gets home safe tonight. Side note, congratulations to the Thibodaux High School Tiger baseball team. They beat South Terrebonne last night. That puts them in first place in the district, alone on the top. 2 games to go, so hopefully Thibodaux High will represent District 8 5A in baseball this year. A little early yet to talk about that, but 2 district games yet to go. Started off a little slow, but came on strong. The pitching came on about mid-year, and then hitting started, and first thing you know, they're in first place. They had to claw their way back because they had a slow beginning and were, toward the bottom of the heap when the season opened. But as of last night, after the game, number 1 in District 8 5A, so congratulations to the Thibodaux High School Tiger baseball team, and look forward to going to the playoffs and seeing them in the playoffs, because that's a whole different league and just a lot of fun. So look forward to doing that. 2 games to go. Good luck to the Tigers. Hope they can win them both and end up on top. The mayor was here yesterday, and I'm going to hurry up through this because I want to give as much time as I can to Dr. Sherry Lawrence and Dr. Bruce McManus this morning so we can talk about the economy and whatever else comes up. But anyway, Trek Summer Youth Camp, the mayor was here yesterday. This is kind of taking the place of the St. Joseph's camp that is no longer being put on by that organization. So the city saw a need, and the mayor and his staff and his administration and his rec department and the rec department and the Warren J. Harang Municipal Auditorium put a program together for a full session, June 8th through July 23rd. That's 6 weeks of youth campers. Daily, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can drop off no earlier than 7:45 a.m. and pick up no later than 4:45 p.m. That will be at the Warren J. Harang Municipal Auditorium. Registration begins April 27th. In the Rec Department, 151 Pelche Park Drive in Thibodaux. You can obtain a copy of the registration form at www.ci.thibodaux.la.us, or you can call 446-7235 for more information. Registration can be available on the first day of camp only if there are openings. They're only taking 200 kids. That's all they could get accommodations for this year on such a short notice. So listeners, if you want to get your kids enrolled, you need to do it early. Get that registration online, get it filled out, and be in line on April 27th because they're only accepting 200. Campers are allowed to bring their own bag lunch. The City of Thibodaux's concessionaire will provide lunch at a reasonable rate. Menus and prices will be provided at a later date. The registration fee is $25 for the first child, $15 for each additional child. The tuition is $100 per week for the first child and $95 per week for each additional child. You can pick and choose the weeks that you want to send your child to camp. If you don't want to sign up for the whole 6 weeks, that's good. You can pick and choose which ones you want to send them to. People are taking vacations, visitors are coming in, and you may want your child at home for a week or so. So you can pick and choose. As I said, June 18th through July 23rd. 4th of July weekend, which is June 29th to July 3rd, there will be no camp. 6 weeks at $100 a week is $600. Full session discount is $15. The discounted price is $585. You can pay by cash or check. Make the checks payable to Trek Thibodaux Recreation. Payment should be made at the time of registration. Because of the lateness of this, no mail-in payments or credit cards accepted. All fees are non-refundable. That's Trek Summer Youth Camp at the Warren J. Harang Municipal Auditorium this summer here in Thibodaux. Snafu, 19th Annual Charity Golf Tournament, June 13th. Net proceeds go to Make-A-Wish Foundation. What a great organization that is. The Texas Gulf Coast and Louisiana chapters. They're looking for golfers right now. Further information, you can contact, Doc.
Dewey Terrio.
Use the one? Okay, 221-1027 is the phone number, 221-1027. Their corporate sponsorships of $600. Associate sponsorships of $200. Team entrance fee $400. That's a 4-person team, so that's $100 a player. Whole sign sponsorship $60. Mulligans $5 each, 2 per players. Any other donations accepted. All of this goes to Make-A-Wish Foundation, Texas Gulf Coast and Louisiana chapter, for the Louisiana chapter. Heck of an organization. It will be at Sugarland Country Club in Raceland. The date is June 13th. 4-person scramble. First 60 teams will be accepted. Okay, golfers, get your clubs out of storage. It's springtime. Let's go. Morning group registration, 6:30 a.m. Tee off 7:30. It's a great day. We'll talk more about this. We'll get somebody in. In fact, we'll do a show on this because this is a good organization. But put that on your calendar, June the 13th. Can't move on 7th Social and Golf event. Man, all of you know about this one. Call Yaki, 446-5986. Cherry Books this coming Saturday. Where are we here? April 25th. Puppet Show, Cecilia Casriel D'Ortez, Jenny Giraffe. That's Saturday, this coming Saturday, April 25th, 1 to 3 p.m. at Cherry Books. North Lafourche Conservation Levee and Drainage District will hold a special meeting on May 27th, 5 p.m. to consider levying additional or increased millage rates without further voter approval or adopting the adjusted millage rate and rolling forward to a millage rate not to exceed the prior year's maximum. That will be May 27th at the regular meeting room, 4085 Highway 1, Thibodaux Fireman's Fair. April 30th, that's next weekend. No, weekend after. No, this next weekend, right. And we'll try to get the firemen on one more time. Again, congratulations to Mr. Cam Frost for being selected as this year's Grand Marshal. Dr. Sherry Lawrence and Bruce McManus, welcome to the program. Good morning. Got your coffee? Everybody ready to go? Good morning.
We're ready.
Things are happening quick. You know, you come on every 30 days, it's like a whole new ball game. We either printing money or we borrowing money or something's happening. I think one of the big things that will break in the next 60 days will be the announcement that General Motors will probably file for Chapter 11. Do you see that?
Very likely.
Yeah. I think that the federal government and General Motors are trying to let the public down very gently. because this will be a major undertaking. This is a huge corporation that's going to have to reorganize and make some serious changes inside of itself. You know, GM, when I was back in the car business in 1967, no, I'm sorry, 71, 72, 73, had 62, 63, 61% of the market. And the federal government was trying to step in and say, you have a monopoly, you need to break up.
Oh, absolutely.
And look what happened. You know, look what happened to them. So I think that's on the horizon. In fact, I think that's right around the corner. Hold on, let me take this call. Good morning, you're live, KTIB.
Hey, Gene, look, they got a pretty bad wreck by Sugar Ridge.
Where at?
Sugar Ridge in north of Shag Bay.
Uh-oh, okay.
North of Thibodaux, rather. And it's going to be slow.
Okay, thanks. And
just let them know, right?
Somebody coming out of Sugar Ridge?
Yeah, right there, and they got, well, actually, one of the vehicles, like 40 feet off the highway, I think, got hit. So, yeah, Arcadia's there, and Shag Bay Rescue's there, and all the law enforcement are there, but they are managing to let traffic go through.
Okay, it's just slow.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. I'll put that out.
Okay, buddy.
Appreciate it, Fred.
You win. Bye.
You bet. Bye-bye. Accident in Shag Bay Highway 20, Sugar Ridge. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If you're going to New Orleans or you're going to, take Raceland, or if you're going to, if you're going north, maybe you want to take Napoleonville and spur 70 because the traffic is slow. Hold on. Good morning. You're live, KTIB.
Good morning, Gene Richard. How are you today?
Hey, Dean Richard. Good morning.
Look, I'm glad Fred called because I was just leaving town. I was heading that way to Baton Rouge.
Don't do it. Go the other way
around because of saving traffic.
Don't do it.
I'll go back the old route, so I want to thank Fred for calling in and just want to chime in, I guess. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, when can I get your time after the session starts?
I can, to come by, you mean?
Yeah, we need to get you on.
How about next Friday during the first week because we're off that Friday.
That's the 30th?
The first week, the next week we just meet 4 days.
Okay, so that'll be the 1st of May.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
All right?
I'll put you down.
Put me down, and then I'll know a lot. We heard Appropriations Committee yesterday. A lot of folks from higher education came testify, and they painted the bleak picture, which it is, at this point. And the cuts are going to happen, Gene, as far as that goes. And my thinking is we're going to have to dip into that rainy day fund to try to ease some of the pain of higher education.
Attaboy, now you're talking. Okay.
I don't think the governor is in favor of it. The problem with it, Gene, if we do it this year, we can't cut into it next year because by Constitution it can only be cut into every other year. If you use it, and you can only use a third of it, which would amount to about $200 million this year. Heck, if we could dip into half of that, I mean, that would free up nickels right there. At least cut them in half in their cuts, and that would help out a lot. That would help LSU tremendously out with the cuts they're facing, and all of them. Gene, all of them are taking big cuts, and I had the opportunity to speak to the Student Senate Tuesday afternoon, and those kids over there are very concerned about what's going to happen to nickels, and they should be because the cuts are going to come, and I know Bruce is aware of it, what's going on over there, but it won't be a pretty picture, but the governor's adamant about not using that rainy day fund, so I think it's going to have to be up to the legislature to overturn a veto if he vetoes that bill. But if you hear them talking about using the rainy day fund, we can't use the surplus funds, which is ludicrous the way it sounds, but by law we can't. And hopefully we'll change that by constitutional law also, but it won't affect this year. It won't help us out this year.
Well, I understand, and of course I had Dr. Hulbert on a couple of Fridays ago, D, and he, as he said, everybody has to share in this, and that's understandably so. I do think we need a constitutional change to rectify some of this, but you know what? That can happen later on, but that's not going to help us right now.
That's not going to help us this year.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think the point that he was trying to make was that the smaller universities like Nichols and Monroe and Lafayette and Hammond proportionately get nailed. And a $5 million cut to Nichols is a lot tougher than a $30 million cut for, say, LSU, because of where it is, where these universities are situated, and the towns and the populations. I mean, it's a drastic thing, And
I would think, Gene, you're probably correct because the larger you get, I think there's more fat,
Absolutely.
So you cut more,
Absolutely.
I would think. But, nobody knows, because I don't know what Nichols' plans are at this point as far as the cuts they're going to have. Only they know, and I guess the Board of Regents knows now. that we don't know as legislators. So I don't know where those cuts are going to affect Nichols at this point. But whatever that is, it's going to be severe, and drastic. And I don't like that. And I'm sure there's other legislators around the state that feel the same about their colleges. And so we're all in the same boat when you think about it. So
absolutely.
I would have to think there's going to be a move to use some funds out of the rainy day fund.
I hope you're right.
See what happens, and I'm sure the governor will veto that bill, but we'll have to override it and do what we have to do, But we'll see. He may change his mind, but we'll see once we start next week, and we'll have a better idea, I think.
You bet. D, thanks for calling, and I'll put you down for next Friday, bud.
Okay,
thanks a lot. You bet.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm glad he called. Just a little insight, maybe. We'll get him on next Friday, and it'll be a clearer picture as to what's going on. Fred called. If you're headed toward the Chack Bay area, if you've got to go out to Vassar, take your time. There's an accident. Traffic's moving slow. If you're going out toward Baton Rouge or maybe to the New Orleans area, take 1308. If you're going to New Orleans, take Raceland. And if you're going to Baton Rouge, like Dee says, take 1308 and take the old route, spur 70, and head on out to Baton Rouge, because hopefully nobody was hurt seriously, number one. Number two, hopefully they'll get this thing cleaned up in just a little bit. And thanks, Fred, for providing that information. Back to the task at hand, talking about the economy. Man,
General Motors.
Yeah, we're talking about GM. I really think, just from the way that Fritz is talking, and from some of the statements that President Obama's made, I think they're going to end up in reorganization. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing for GM. $74 billion debt. Give them a chance to restructure some of that maybe, and of course Chapter 7, deadly, but a Chapter 11 reorganization, heck, Texaco went through it.
Yeah, and many firms have gone through it. The thing that I think they're probably working on right now is trying to get their plan together before they file, so that they can minimize that uncertain period. A lot of firms will file and then spend 2 or 3, 4 months developing their reorganization plan, and that won't work in this case. They're going to need to, the day they file, have the plan
hit the ground running,
ready, so that uncertainty isn't there. Here, telling the court, this is what we have in mind. And if it's done well, I think they can come through with a reorganization, get everybody seriously to the table, and come out of a much stronger company.
Boy, I tell you, you're right. Being affiliated with General Motors for, 28, 29 years, I want to see them make it. I really do. They've had a lot of good years. They've had a lot of extremely good years. They've had some bad years, but they're an American company, and I'd like to see them survive. The other side of that coin is Ford Motor Company. Ford has not taken any bailout funds yet, or I'd just rather say borrowed any money from the federal government to this point. Really, really surprising. They've held up well. They seem to be a little more on the cutting edge. And Dr. Lawrence, you come out of private business and you're back in academics now. But as a company, Ford Motor Company has seemed, anyway, up front, to be weathering this storm.
They had some difficulty a couple of years ago, and their bonds were downgraded to junk about 2 years ago. And so they had problems earlier than General Motors, and they seem to have gone through that and weathered that a little bit better.
They seem to be on the cutting edge as far as new technology, the hybrids, the fuel economy. I think CAF needs to go by the wayside. I think really corporate average fuel economy is hurting this country right now, and I think they need to do something with that for now and kind of put that on the back burner so these guys can focus and concentrate on building cars, And I realize there has to be limitations and there needs to be regulations on fuel and the whole bit, but Ford Motor Company, just on paper, seems to be it seems to have restructured itself, as you said earlier, and primed now and poised to advance forward even in this tough economic condition. But I was really surprised, and of course Chrysler they've been floundering for a long time.
Yeah,
they need help. They just need help.
Well, with some degree of luck, they'll find a merger partner that can bring the kind of engineering and technology to them that they really need.
Yeah, And they've been that way for good motors and good transmissions. That's what I can say about them. I'm serious. Good motors and good transmissions, but lacking in technology in some areas. And hopefully, they're an American company, and hopefully we can succeed,
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody talks about what's an American car company and what isn't an American car company. And you really can't draw a distinction.
You're going to use the word outsource, I can tell.
No, I'm going to talk about
you're right.
the Nissan plant in
Yes, in Mississippi.
that you
Toyota.
look at for 2 miles going up I-55. And the Honda plant in Ohio that is the only plant worldwide that builds Accords.
Hello.
If you'd like to own some stock in Honda, Toyota, go to your favorite stockbroker. It's traded on the American exchanges. There really is no difference.
No,
one
there
to the
isn't.
next.
And I believe in hang on, let me get this call. Good morning, you're live, KTIB.
Morning, Mr. Gene.
Good morning, Doug.
You ready? I got 2 names for you today.
Let me have it.
Jackie and Ora.
Jackie and Ora, it's their birthdays?
Yeah.
Are they people that you work with?
Yeah, people
Okay.
that follows me, so I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing it on your end on the schedule.
Okay, buddy.
Because you know what?
Why?
I'm going to let them, they better have that radio and KTIB going to work, because they better know. If they better watch them, because Ora going to get caught. I'm trying to catch Ora.
Oh, don't do that. Don't get anybody in trouble.
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're just trying to, I'm just trying to, well,
Okay,
you know,
you
with
got it.
me and you, and, well,
Jackie and Ori, happy
Yeah.
birthday, and you hope they're listening.
yeah.
Gotcha.
No, there was.
Oh, Doug hung up prematurely. Anyway, thanks for calling, Doug. I believe, and I want to get to stocks and stuff and companies, and we'll talk about the the overall picture of the trillions and all of this stuff in just a minute. But do you after? Let's back up to the 30s and 40s for just a second. When you look at what happened during World War II, and when you look at how this country had to switch gears from what they were producing and all of a sudden to mass produce the things that they did in order for us to sustain war. Planes and tanks and jeeps and trucks and ammunition and uniforms and boots and rifles and whatever. We geared up to be at war. And the war ended, and we geared back down and went back to American manufacturing. And fundamentally at that time, and I'll say most of the things that we consumed and used here in this country were made in America. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 40s, late 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden in the 70s, 60s, 70s, some things come along. Made in Japan, made in China, Japan Electronics. All of a sudden, we lost some manufacturing capabilities to other countries because it was cheaper to outsource it. I love that word. Outsource it to other countries, let them produce it, and then buy it back and resell it here in this country. I think as a nation, and I made the comment last week. I was shopping for some clothes. I would love to buy a shirt made in America.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, if they had a factory.
You'd also pay 3 times as much.
Maybe we could work that. Maybe there's. my point is, I think we lost a lot.
When you look at that price tag. So,
Why should that be, though? That's my point. Why should that be? Why can't we compete in manufacturing with everybody talks about this global economy and world. I think as a nation, we lost a lot when we outsourced a lot of our products. When we stopped producing, it cost jobs. Cost a tremendous amount of jobs in this country.
And it also generated jobs.
But I would just like to buy a shirt made in America. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I would like to buy a shirt made in America, and I'd like to pay a reasonable price for it. Having said that,
but you wouldn't want to work in that factory at the wages that would be being paid for you
in order to be a reasonable price
you
shirt.
got it.
Because it all comes down to an economic term called comparative advantage. Less developing countries have a comparative advantage in labor. Their labor's cheaper. And when you think about the way things were in the 40s and 50s compared to today with the globalization, society is better off as a whole. The world is better off. We have a much higher standard of living. We have more consumer goods at cheaper prices. But of course there are losers in trade, in free trade. It's the person who worked in the factory in Flint, Michigan,
Sure.
or the person who worked in the garment industry here in the U.S. who no longer has a job.
All right, what happens you talked about it created other jobs too, Doc, but I think we apparently from what we're going through, we lost more jobs than we created. I guess my point is, if we'd have had a larger manufacturing base in this country for the last 30 years, would we be in better shape economically now? No. Come on, Doc, you just busted my bubble.
Now, if you look at what China's going through right now, they were a very rapidly emerging economy with phenomenal amounts of manufacturing. Since we aren't buying, all of their plants are shutting down.
Yeah, boy, I mean, they're down
They've
on
got
crawl.
unemployment that puts ours to shame. And that's because we're not buying, therefore they're not producing. So, no, had those plants been here, we would have had the same issues.
So you don't think there would have been any difference at all?
No.
All right. Having said that, where are we going? Have we bottomed out? Stock market, 7,900, 8,000, played with 8,100 for a little while. Far cry from 12, 5, 13, and 14, where it was a couple of years ago.
Also, far cry from 6,100.
You're right, from where it was
6 weeks
You're right.
ago.
Do you see maybe we've turned a corner? And I realize we've got a long way to go here, but do you think maybe we're on the bottom and starting to bounce?
It seems
in
like
the other direction.
The stock market has always been felt to be an advance indicator of what's coming next, and 6 weeks straight up, which is really unprecedented. Normally, after a 3 or 4 week good run, we're up 30% on some of the indexes from the bottom. Normally, you get what they call profit taking. People would say, "That's been a great run. Let me pull that money on the side a little bit and let it rest.
Let me sell this. I'm going to take my you got
return.
It. And get out for a minute.
If you bought Citigroup at $1 a share, and you turned it, it got up to $4 a share. Hey, let's take that money out. And I think that's what we saw on Monday when the market retreated a little bit. There was a little bit of bad news and got people thinking, I've got this great gain. That money I had on the side, I put it in 6 weeks ago. I've made 25% in 6 weeks. Let me pull some of that profit out of there. And it retreated some. Now, of course, yesterday, it got back on the clicking up run again.
It's amazing, and Dr. Lawrence said it, I think, either last time or the time before. It is so, it reacts to so many things that it really has no business reacting to. Somebody can stub their toe and the stock market reacts. And to me, it should react solely on, it looks to me like they would focus solely on economic issues, but it doesn't. There are so many other factors involved that really affect the market. It's amazing. You come out of private industry, what do you see?
I think it's bottomed out. I'm a glass is half full kind of person.
That a girl. Me too.
I do think it's bottomed out. I mean, there's so many conflicting things out there in the media, and they seem to be chasing whatever's happened last. Last week we were completely out of the bear market. Everything was fine. We were going up, but then Monday we had a downturn, and they're back in the doldrums again. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But as Dr. McManus said, the market tends to have a run-up prior to the economic recovery. So I think we have seen the bottom.
Yeah. Now, in terms of jobs and things like that, we've probably got another couple of months of easing into the bottom.
One good thing, I think, that I've seen the last six weeks or so is that President Obama in the stock market, I'm not saying they kissed and made up, but they maybe stopped shooting at each other, and I think that helped.
Has a huge impact.
No question about it, because for a while there, every time he opened his mouth, the stock market tanked, so I think they've gotten over that period. I think they're the guns stopped firing at least, and the stock market has reacted accordingly. But I wonder, all of these big firms that are now gone, do you see as the market comes back, okay? And I'm like you, Doc. My glass is always half full. I envision in the next few years 12,000, 12.5 again, hopefully in the not too distant future. These huge firms, will they be replaced? We're down to just a few now. There's some big boys that bit the dust,
I think, yes. I think
you see some expansion there?
I see some expansion with some smaller, more efficient firms taking over. One interesting thing I was reading about the stock market, though, is when you think about investing, there's so many stocks that are beaten down and at rock bottom prices. And a lot of people will go out there and they'll think, well, this stock, like GE, for example, was down to $8.
Yeah.
Now it's down to, I think it's about $10 or $12. And they think, well, how can it go lower? And they'll think, well, this was the 52-week high was, in the hundreds. I should invest in it. Well, GE will probably never get back to that high because they're a very different company than they used to be.
Good point.
Around 50% of their income now is coming from their financial company, which is
GE Capital.
GE Capital, which is not doing very well. So they're going to be a much smaller, less profitable company. But one thing to think about is if you have a stock that's gone down to $8, yes, it can go lower. It can go down to $4. And there's a reason why that stock has gone down so far. So we might want to shift our focus and look at, what are some stocks that didn't go down that much in the downturn. Maybe only went down 20% when the rest of the market was down 40%. Stocks in good companies that are paying dividends, and focus on maybe stocks that aren't beaten down but are good solid companies. And think about doing that instead of trying to be a bottom feeder. Like Procter & Gamble, Walmart, Heinz, Colgate, Palmolive.
They hung pretty good through this.
McDonald's.
Yeah. They hung pretty good. But there's one thing about being a bottom feeder. There's nowhere to, hopefully sometime there's nowhere to go but up. And when it goes up, you can make a killing, of course, if it doesn't, and that's the winners and the losers in the stock market. I mean, that's the way.
At the same time that Citibank went from $1 to $4, General Motors, that a lot of people looked at the same day of, it's down as far as it can go.
No.
While Citigroup regrouped, General Motors went some more.
Yeah.
and probably will continue with what they've got looming on the horizon. Anyway, oh man, we over time. We got to take a short break. Listeners, pour yourself another cup of coffee. Always great to have the economists from Nicholls State University, Dr. Sherry Lawrence and Bruce McManus in the house. Hey, we'll be right back here at Oldie 640 KTIB.
Whether you're a rookie to the sport or a pro, there's nothing like the thrill of motocross. And if you like to ride in serious competition, then you need to check out the Honda CRFs at Cycle World. The CRF 450R, CRF 250R, and CRF 150R are all the choice of racing amateurs and privateers at every level of the sport. And just like you do, these bikes get better every year. This year, they have all kinds of engines and suspension upgrades to make them more battle-ready than ever. And the CRF 450R and the CRF 250R now even feature the amazing new Honda Progressive Steering Damper. Originally developed by Team Honda, this lightweight, compact steering damper improves cornering ability and reduces rider fatigue. Come in and see why so many top riders have chosen the Honda 4-stroke CRFs for their competition rides. They're in stock now at Cycle World, 5509 West Park in Houma. You deserve a bike as serious about winning as you are.
At the Cancer Center of Thibodeau Regional, our world revolves around you. That's why we have Trilogy, the newest weapon in the fight against cancer. With the Trilogy system, we can treat more types of cancers with greater precision in less time and with fewer side effects. Combined with the skills and expertise of our dedicated doctors and staff, this means better outcomes for you. The Cancer Center of Thibodeau Regional, your first choice for cancer care.
After 39 years in business, A&G Refrigeration has clearly demonstrated an outstanding record of service expertise and customer satisfaction. As a Carrier Factory authorized dealer, we have the training to be true experts in the cooling and heating business. Come by and see us at 902 Jackson Street in Thibodaux, or call us at 446-6256. A&G Refrigeration can truly satisfy all your comfort requirements. Turn to the experts.
KTIB-AM 640. News Talk Oldies. News Talk Oldies. And Dialogue with Gene Richard.
And now, back to Dialogue on 640 AM KTIB. Here's your host, Gene Richard.
Copy. Hey, how about Mr. Patrick Sylvester? Of course, not that song, but a little less Louisiana, nominated for one of the outstanding songs of the year. And Pat, we were just talking about Patrick. What a great guy. Comes from a great family. Know him. Know his brother Paul real well. Paul and Cindy. And just congratulations to Patrick, and hope he does well with that. 447-6409, number into the dialogue room. Highway 20 kind of shut down, slowed down, not shut down, slowed down. There's an accident by Sugar Ridge, so if you're going to New Orleans or you're going to Baton Rouge and you were thinking about taking 20 and sneak on 3127, don't do it. Take Raceland to New Orleans and take Spur 70 to Baton Rouge for now, and hopefully they'll get that thing cleared up in just a couple of minutes. Got Doctors Bruce McManus and Sherry Lawrence in the house this morning talking economics, and during the break we were talking, and you know, times have changed, and Dr. Lawrence and Dr. Bruce were both making the comments. It's not, how did you say that? It's not our...
Your grandfather's market anymore.
It's not. You know, I remember my wife had an uncle that was a vice president for the stoic, conservative Whitney National Bank. You know what I mean? When you talked about the Whitney, you talked about one of the most conservative banks in the area and been around for centuries. But my point is, those type of guys bought stocks and held them for life, for the good or the bad of it. You know, 15, 20 years, 30 years. That's not true anymore. You know, people don't do that. You were talking about the bottom feeders, you know, buy a stock cheap and let it go up a little bit, Citigroup.
Yep.
But if you bought at $1 and got out at $4, you know, you quadrupled your money. Not a bad investment for a couple of 3 weeks, which is what it took to get there.
That's right.
You know, but, and of course, I guess that helps the economy, but
it also hurts the economy.
Makes it a little more volatile.
Because all of those CEOs are worried about the next quarterly report, not the annual report from a year down. What are they going to produce in performance in the next 3 months? Because that's their job.
And as you said, they've got the mindset now. What have you done for me lately?
Absolutely, and that's what the stockholders are looking at. What have you done lately? That's why the market, the past few weeks, as earnings reports have been coming out, have been responding. In fact, that was something we talked about a little bit the last time we were on, because we knew we were coming into earnings season. And the question was, were these firms going to come in with better numbers than the experts predicted, or worse numbers? Well, they've been coming in generally with better numbers. Even firms that had losses, the losses generally haven't been as bad, which is part of what has triggered these nice upward moves in the market. But it's all on, what have you done in this 3-month interval?
No question about it.
Not what is the impact of what you've done going to be 5 years from now. And some of these CEOs are trading the future for today. Get it today, regardless of how much damage I do 5 years from now.
So you don't think that there's some lessons that we didn't learn?
That's right.
Oh, man.
Because these banks that got into all these problems, what were they looking for? They were looking for profits today. Yeah. We don't care about the risk that's tomorrow. We want the profits today to boost our earnings, to boost our stock price, to boost our CEO bonus.
That's right. And they, you know, no
somebody
question.
else will be the CEO 5 years from
That's
now.
Right. They won't even. You're right. You're right. And they want to know what I can make now, because, you know, they've got the mindset now. 5 years from now, I'm not going to be here. You know, and you know, I think that's part of, therein lies part of the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Lawrence comes from the private side, or at least a consulting side, and then now back in academics. What can we do? as consumers? Should we get into more? What should we be doing? Should we be a bottom feeder? Should we be a little bit of everything? What do you see?
No, I don't necessarily think.
Help me with my few dollars, Doc.
I think it's too risky to be a bottom feeder. It's like gambling. I mean, you can be a bottom feeder if you want to with some play money, but it's very risky.
Okay.
I think a better idea, a better plan would be maybe buy some gold. Maybe have 5 to 10% of your portfolio in gold, and I don't mean going out and buying bullion and having it delivered to your house.
No, you can.
You can do that, by the way, but I recommend buying a mutual fund or they have these things now called exchange traded funds. They're funds that trade like stocks, and you can buy a gold. Spiders has a gold fund. The ticker's GLD, and they invest. It's an index fund that invests in gold mining companies and such, and so you can. It just moves along with the price of gold. Inflation is going to be a problem. Maybe not a huge problem in the future, but with the government borrowing all this money, we're going to see a little bit of an uptick in inflation. So, some doomsdayists are predicting gold to double in the next year. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but gold is going to, it's at like $980 around there. It's going to start to tick up. So that gold is a good hedge to have a small percentage of that in your portfolio. You might want to certainly have some in cash, but I think maybe a better plan for your stocks would be to buy good, solid companies that are paying dividends, like, as I mentioned before, Heinz, for example. I'm not recommending stocks, but
no, I understand.
Like the Heinz, the McDonald's,
the Walmarts,
Colgate,
right.
Walmarts, Home Depot, maybe. I mean, they've been affected by the housing market a bit, but overall they're strong. There's a reason why these other companies have gone down to single-digit prices, and they're probably never going to get back to
where they were.
Because they're different companies now.
You had a couple of months ago, you talked about index groups, index funds. Still,
yes,
you like that?
Yes. And what I meant by that was when the market is down, as the market's down. Really,
absolutely.
I mean, I don't think we're going to see another 40% correction like we did last year. So it really only has one way to go, which is up. So if you buy index funds, the fees on index funds, the annual fees that these mutual funds charge are very low, because with an index fund, there's no management of the fund. And so you can put some of your money in an index fund and just let it ride.
You're looking at somebody that's really just stupid in the market. Index funds comprised, are they across the board?
Yeah.
Well,
some high risk, some low risk, some in the middle. Is that what?
It depends on which index it's tied to. And there's now hundreds of these index funds. Many of them are tied to things like the Dow Jones or the Standard & Poor's that are very broad indexes. But they also have some that are keyed on financial indexes that are purely banks and other related financial companies. And it's very, very narrow. So you can go either way you want. If you feel like there's an industry or a piece of the economy that is going to do better than most, but you're not sure which company out of that piece is going to be the really strong ones, you can go with an index fund that's pretty narrow, and it will have the ultra strong performers and the okay performers all in it. And you can buy it all in one chunk.
All in one lick. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to have a huge sum of money to get a piece of the action in all of those companies.
I noticed one thing, and we laughed and joked. My 401k was a 201 and a 101, and then it got down to 95.
And now it's back up to a 201.
You're right. I mean, it's amazing at how fast it bounced back. It bounced back almost as fast as it went down. And the stock market is not near where it was when it started going down. So I think that's encouraging for people that have 401ks that didn't get out, that kept it. You know what? If things continue to trend, we're going to be pretty okay here in the not too distant future, because it might, and I don't have a lot of money in mine, but it bounced back pretty doggone quick. I mean, I was way down and crying in my beer, so to speak, but I mean, it's really not that serious anymore.
And if you think about it, when the market was down to 6,500 and we all were lamenting and wanted to sell, where would we be if we would have sold?
You're right.
You know,
You're right. Everybody said, hold on, hang tight, don't get out of it. If you don't need it, stay. And I'm glad I did. I mean, that was good advice, because it bounced back. You talked about inflation. All right, and of course, we went out and we borrowed trillions of dollars, but we also printed some money. Now, that's going to devalue. Did we print enough that's going to cause some devaluation of the dollar in the future?
Every indication
as that money gets in circulation?
Be that if we actually do put all of this money into circulation, the odds are very good that it will. Now, a lot of these things that have been passed by Congress and put into programs, but they have not actually yet been put into the economy. They're sitting there, they're allocated, but they actually haven't cut the checks.
Money's not in circulation.
Moved it into the economy. And the question's going to be, as we're seeing the bottom coming at us, will the federal government back up and say, okay, we really don't need to put this into the economy. Let's just leave it sit here on the sidelines. Or will they go ahead and force it into the economy anyway? Because if they force money that the economy doesn't need in, that's when we really trigger the inflation.
I got you.
If they just leave it on the sidelines, say, okay, it's allocated, it's appropriated, but we haven't spent it, we may get on out the back end of this all right.
I understand. One more topic, and then we got to go to break again. Here's the good side. When times got tough, lots of people pulled out. There has got to be a tremendous amount of cash out there that eventually will have to go somewhere.
There is a tremendous amount of cash on the sidelines.
Now, part of what's fed the last 6 weeks has been some of that money trickling back in, but people saying, that seems to be bottom. Let me put 20% of what I pulled out back in. And every time that happens, it bumps it up a little bit. Also, some people took some of that money that they pulled out and paid down some debts. Well, they're now feeling a little more comfortable because they don't have the debt load that they did 6 months ago.
And here we go with this vicious cycle again when you talk about we got to spend to get out of this. But spending is what got us into this.
Right.
Hello.
Everything in moderation.
Listen, we got to take a short break. Got Doctors Bruce McManus and Sherry Lawrence in the house this morning from Nickel State. Boy, always an interesting topic when they're on. Let me get to the right spot here. Here we go. We take a short break. We come in right back here at Oldie 640 KTIB.
Copy of paper? Check. Ink cartridges? Check. File folders? Check.
Besides all the other things you need to run your business,
black pens, blue pens, red pens. Check, check, check.
You need telephone and internet that cut the cost of doing business by saving you bundles of cash.
Ones, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds.
The Charter Business Bundle. In one easy payment, get Charter Business high-speed internet, super fast with speeds up to 10 megs, web hosting, and 10 email accounts, and Charter Business telephone with unlimited local and long distance, plus essential business calling features.
We definitely need more hundreds.
The Charter Business Bundle with telephone and high-speed internet. For a limited time, save 38% off standard rates when you sign a 2-year agreement. Call 1-888-845-5133 or visit charter-business.com/save now. Offer expires 6/30/09. Available to new customers only. Services not available in all areas. Unlimited long-distance calling in U.S. and Canada only. Restrictions apply. Call for complete details.
And now back to Dialogue on 640 AM KTIB. Here's your host, Jean Richard.
Legend, icon, Pot Falls from Racine, Louisiana, on the CD this morning. Got Dr. Sherry Lawrence and Bruce McManus from Nickel State University, 447-6409. Oh, man, we are flat out of time. We need to wrap this thing up. What do you see? And don't give me both the same opinion. What do you see, Dr. Lawrence?
Well, I see that I think we've hit bottom.
Until next month. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Next month. There could be another downturn, a slight downturn, but overall, we're on the upswing.
Okay, think we bottomed out and on a roll.
Yeah, as far as the market, I would tend to agree. I think the actual economy still got a little bit to go, but we're seeing firms that have been using up old inventory. Now all of a sudden those old inventories are pretty well used up. They're going to have to start producing to have inventory to sell. So we're going to start seeing that little click over starting to come over the next 2-3 months.
Boy, you think attitude doesn't make a difference. Here we are, we're talking about, oh, we're on the bottom now, we're all happy and things are going to get better. You remember where we were 3 months ago, 4 months ago? We were on this program talking about gloom and doom.
Yes.
Carries over in...
You weren't, you were.
That's because I was broke. I still am, matter of fact. But my point is, carries over into the economy and into the market, and as a result, you see some a ray of sunshine, you know, or a little speck of daylight, you know, at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So hopefully that's it. And yeah, you guys are you know, you're the expert, so you ought to know. I'm going to believe what you tell me, because what I know you can put on the end of my fingernail or my little finger, half of that, matter of fact.
Now we've been here enough times. We ought to be up to at least the first knuckle by now.
Dr. Bruce McMahon and Sherry Lawrence, thanks for being with us. Don't go away. I want to schedule next month for you. Listeners, thank you for listening, because you know what? Without you, we don't have a program. But before we go, get Charter Digital Cable TV, Charter On Demand, Charter HD, Charter High-Speed Internet, and Charter Telephone for $99.97 a month for 12 months. If you're not hooked up to HD, let me tell you, I never thought I'd do this. I got hooked up to HD yesterday. Amazing.
It is.
The crystal, it's like being in a movie theater. You know what I mean? It's undoggone believable. Anyway, and it's inexpensive, too. $188, get Charter today. Did you know Charter Digital customers have access to free programming? Charter On Demand, Channel 1 On Demand. You can watch free shows from some of your favorite networks or try out a movie from the free movies category anytime you want. Just go to Channel 1. Try it today. That's Charter. 188, get Charter today. Thanks for being with us. God bless you today. God bless you every day. Do something nice for somebody. Who we got tomorrow? We got, tomorrow's Thursday, we got Jessica DeRoche tomorrow. I think Linda will be doing my show. I have to attend an OSHA class in New Orleans at 6:30 in the morning, so got to leave here rather early. But I'll see you Friday with Gibbens Robichaux. God bless you today. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow here at Oldie 640 KTIB.